Good morning. Class is in session. Professor Pocobelli on the scene. Welcome back. Artist Journal, June 22nd, 2023, broadcasting to the world from the classroom in my mind in Berlin, Germany. My name is Adrian Pocobelli. Let's just keep this cut. We're here, and it's late. Very, very late here in the day, my friends. So welcome back, and we are running through this life as fast as we can sometimes, and we're all just trying to make it work. So sometimes it's really nice to just have a happy clown to comfort us in our daily struggle. And so this is wonderful. You know the artist, if you watch this show, one of the great spray paint artists of the world, maybe my favorite, for what that's worth, of Ronald McDonald by Walk. And I'll tell you what I think works. Actually, there's more. I can't even list everything that's working so beautifully here, but I'll tell you some of the things that are working here, which is, you see this hard outline here, almost as if it's a stencil. And then that contrasts with this beautiful spray here. Right, so this kind of, like this little, I almost want to call it pixelated. It is not pixelated, this little, tiny drips and everything, the softness of the spray paint with that super hard edge. And then you see all these beautiful details like the darker red put in, the mixing colors, even the eyes. And look at the, Walk is very good with these. It's almost like, Dan Control a little bit, in the way that the compositions are made, where it's almost made of outlines and then filled with gradients to a certain degree. Anyways, this is a beautiful work. And look at the background there too. I mean, even this blue up here and a little bit there, this blue-gray, I don't even need to look. I know who this is, but here is the tweet. So, Walk, GM new drop, Ronald Spray on Paper 2023. Bidding starts on Thursday, June 22nd at 12 o'clock. So often Walk puts the physical work on eBay. Sometimes it's been on Object. So today is Thursday. So if you want this wonderful, beautiful work of Ronald McDonald, this iconic work, I'm tempted to call it, go on Walk Speed and you will find it. Continuing on, thank you, Explainer Gallery, who invited me to participate in the trading or the trader series here. So this is called AI Frenzy, and this just got listed yesterday. There are still 16 left, and they're selling at $880 Tezos each. And thank you very much, Mikey Wilson, Tezopotamus, a new name there, Lone Wick Tiki, and Aw Heck. Big shout out to Aw Heck, who has collected many works of mine and is deeply appreciated, as well as Mikey Wilson there. We're going to see Mikey again here in the show. So very quickly, screenshot, AI Frenzy, Bloomberg, as you can see here, kind of a Bloomberg News screenshot. The experimentation continues here. We have some AI in the background as well. And I am trying to really push this news screenshot art. Here I played with the image of the kind of VR helmet guy, but then I decided, well, what if I start processing that and doing pixelation? So that is what's going on there, and just sampling across layers. And so having a lot of fun with that, repeating, almost, glitching the headline a little bit and everything. So that is what's going on there. Thank you again, everyone, and Explainer. And thank you once again to Explainer Gallery for picking up this work, which I just listed this morning, of Lauren Sanchez. This is basically from the Pixel Art sketchbook, and this is basically a screenshot of the Daily Mail. And there, of course, is Lauren Sanchez, Jeff Bezos's, I think, wife now. And I thought it was just an interesting composition. Again, I am kind of radically unsnobby when it comes to what I'm tempted to call visual design, which I include art in. So for me, I try, and it's back to this idea, whether it's Lego boxes, space Lego from the 80s, almost anything and everything. I try and see in one grand spectrum, and that includes basically screenshots or what I see online when all of a sudden I see this beautiful juxtaposition of these, two figures here, and then of Lauren Sanchez, and then, out on the yacht and maybe Saint Tropez or something. And then all these figures here, I think that's Taylor Swift and everything. And then this is part of an ad of an RV in like a canyon or something. And then you have these, so all, and just painting in the white a little bit. So just having fun and experimenting. And again, this juxtaposition and having fun with just the square brush. So again, thank you to Explainer, 30 Tezos for a 1 of 1, which these days is a pretty good deal, I would say, considering the Tezos price for 1 of 1s, whoever the artist. Big thank you to everybody who came out yesterday to Rinny Fish on the Twitter space. That was totally awesome, and it was great, out of China. So that was just really cool, and again, it was just a really fun show. It is going to be uploaded to YouTube probably either today or tomorrow. And so you'll also be able to listen to it there and everything. So again, thank you everybody who came out. Hasdrubal Waffle had like a camp, asked a question. Santiago was on there. So it was a really nice crowd out there as well. And as you're going to see, Hasdrubal Waffle has disappeared and may not come back for a while, if ever, in the same form. So that was also making this perhaps a historically significant show. And if you don't know Rinny Fish's work, this is it. And Rinny Fish was discussing this work on her show. So if you like this work and this resonates with you, you can hear her talk about it on the show Moonlit Metamorphosis. And what was super cool that me and Runtun learned is that Rinny Fish just recently is going full-time in art, and is boldly going, where almost every artist has had to go before, which is, she is dedicating everything to it. She is throwing her hat in the ring. And so, as I told her a couple of times, fortune favors the bold. So best of luck to Rinny Fish. And actually, there's a little bit of audio too, just so you know. I think we might have looked at this work. It's from a couple of weeks ago. So continuing on, just some comments on Monday's show, because Tuesday I was apartment hunting, and it is going well. It's all about who you know on this scene. Like, if you're going from the websites, like, you're never going to hear back unless you're lucky. It does happen, but it's all word of mouth and who you know. So things are starting to appear, little opportunities. I probably have something, and maybe something else just showed up on my phone here. So thank you again for the well wishes on the apartment hunt. As we all know, in every major city in the world, it's becoming an issue, particularly in what maybe we'd say Europe and North America. I can't speak for, say, South America, or, I was looking on Airbnb and I saw Vietnam. You can stay for a month in some pretty nice places for, 800 euros. So anyways, continuing on, Lepro Chant. Starting the week by watching your show and seeing my artworks featured makes me happy. In these difficult times, your words are important fuel for artists, collectors, and a still developing market that needs to keep growing. Thank you, Lepro Chant. And also Mick Renders, great episode. Love that Human Boy piece. I believe the Walk Crab piece is a reference to the Prodigy, the Fat of the Land album cover. Very, very likely. I should have actually figured that out. An amazing album and super cool tribute. And I remember when that came out. Continuing on, Santiago Marquez, good luck on the apartment. The reference in Elby's work is Tarsila do Amaral, a painting called Abaporu, which is in the Malba, Buenos Aires. I saw it live. The name is Anthropophagy. So again, this is Elby's Nintendo pop culture series, which is totally rad, to quote Hasdrubal Waffle, because it's something in Tarsila's universe, and I think also the name of a manifesto of the group she was in. So very cool, interesting. And also finally, Runtun, I'm so happy you responded to Deeza's post about Tezos versus Ethereum. You're so right about Tez being the chain that allows so many people to engage with NFTs on a wider scale and in meaningful ways. I too would have never become much of a collector if I was limited to ETH NFTs and their intractable gas fees. I too had the enlightening experience of purchasing my first few Tez NFTs, but funny enough, my first purchase was actually on OpenSea, and I did not have an enlightening or perspective shifting experience. Quite the opposite. It was stressful. I felt like I was gambling online. It actually kept me from connecting with the art and the artist. And also, I agree with you and Mikey and others that the low price of Tezos is a feature, not a bug. It allows us to engage. It gives some people in some parts of the world a living doing art. But the downside for me living in New York City is that it does not support me as an artist. And the more I mint on Tezos, the more I feel like I'm putting all my time into something that isn't paying off. Don't get me wrong, I am enormously grateful to have a lot of collectors and a lot of appreciation for my work. But I'm increasingly feeling that there's another place or chain that I could be putting my energy into that would get me similar appreciation collectors and pay me off. Well, yeah, I've long advocated being multi-chain. And I think we're going to see here Solana just launched a new marketplace, I think, the Strip thing. I'm a huge fan of just going multi-chain. They all have their different collectors, some overlap. Get your art out there as much as possible. So I'd say go for it. I'd say might as well, as you did very successfully with that beautiful piece you released on Ethereum. Also, just a couple of more very interesting comments. Phoebe Fashion, I heard that Tezos is now going to strategically focus on the DeFi aspects, decentralized finance, so maybe price go up, which would have interesting implications for collectors as well. That's pretty interesting. So maybe they'll have, because it is kind of like when you think of Tezos, I don't think of any apps at all other than the digital art. Like Object or Taya and maybe Object One. I mean, it's like a handful of websites that I use, and here I'm on it, practically have a YouTube show on it, so that's interesting. Very interesting. Are you going to FX Hash Bright Moments event on Wednesday? I guess that was yesterday, so no, I did not go. They often have events in Berlin, and just a couple of more here. I'm from Indonesia, and I'm on Tezos since maybe 60 cents to $9 back to 70 cents. And yeah, I make a living from Tezos. So we are on target there. Thank you, Ed, for the well wishes and everybody. And here also Human Boy, even in a Western country, if you are check to check, Tezos is a wonderful option to collect. And the only reason I am able to myself, even when the prices were much higher when I started the gas, was so low, you can still make it work. Love the art community I found on the chain, regardless of how long any crypto lasts for. And I am thankful Tezos gave me an opportunity to connect with so many. Absolutely. And thank you for featuring Jellyfish. Such a great reception to the work. I've been so happy. Like you said, you just have to keep trying new things. So thank you for all the comments. Those were a whole bunch of really interesting comments, and I agree with like everything. Patrick Amadon with a really interesting comment here. Already starting to see early in art being deprioritized as many newer artists are rising with incredible work. It never mattered much in art before, will probably trend towards the same here. And I thought this was super interesting because in 2021, during the bull market, in the first big bull market in NFTs and NFT art, you could argue early was, your sign of doing everything right and authenticity and of value from a speculative point of view. And, it always comes back to time is the judge. And I would argue what we are seeing here, what Patrick Amadon is seeing with early starting to get deprioritized, is time working its magic. Where all of a sudden, it's like you see new things come in and all of a sudden everything gets reevaluated. Was it as special as it was first, claimed to be? Perhaps it is, perhaps it's not. I'm not weighing an opinion here, but to me, this is a clear sign that time is the judge and the reliable judge in these matters. So a super interesting comment. Sky Goodman, sold out in under an hour, and people ask why Tezos. If they don't know, they will never understand. I love you all. And this is back to the cheapness of Tezos, because on Tezos you can sell editions for $2 each or less. And then you do an edition of 10, and people are far more likely to buy because it's only $2 if they like your art. And then all of a sudden you bring in $20, right? So it's just another revenue stream. And no, it's not as lucrative than when you make a sale on ETH, but it's a heck of a lot more common for almost everybody, except for the very top tier people who sell out on everything immediately on whatever chain. Other than that, it's more kind of what we might even call reliable money, because it's cheap. So it's back to this idea that cheapness is a feature, not a bug. Let's look at this issue from a different time zone. So this is Uxine also weighing in on this big debate here. From where I stand, it is a revolutionary tool, referring to Tezos, I believe, for voiceless and disadvantaged artists. Setting aside a budget for myself, I still remember the day when I bought 2 of them for $8. So yeah, and a very cool kind of classic Uxine glitch here and pixelation. So just interesting to hear. And of course, Uxine is out of Turkey. Continuing on, and look, it's the Uxine t-shirt. Do you see this? So I think this is how fast Uxine works. I think I saw someone tweet out at some point, when are we getting hoodies? And it was like literally it felt like less than a week later where I'm already seeing hoodies and t-shirts and everything. So maybe that timeline is more compressed in my mind than in reality, but here they are. Nothing to see here. Mikey de la Creme just checking out these beautiful physicals. So in the background at Colonna Contemporary, this is Michele Colonna. So we've been looking at that museum here as well, a gallery. And so in my Uxine tee from Krypton XYZ. So from Krypton, and so give them a follow. So how cool is that? A crypto native brand inspired by the ethos of the crypto community, featuring limited edition artist collaborations. Current drop Uxine for the culture. So I guess they choose who they want to work with. That's pretty interesting, but pretty nice work here. You see the zine influence in the design. And here's more Uxine's post. Drop will be live June 28th, free shipping over $100. And this is your code here. And so very cool. So here is more. Pretty cool ad. So drop will be live June 28th. So we are not at June 28th yet. So maybe Mikey de la Creme got a sneak peek or a early version. So here is also from Colonna Contemporary. Leave it all behind. So you saw the gallery there. And now, so this is super interesting. So Colonna Contemporary has collaborated with Annabelle R13, and this is clearly a physical work here, and probably in the gallery, and they have sold NFT editions here, an edition of 20, and they're going for 20 Tezos each, and there are 14 left, and here you can see them, and there's Mikey Wilson. Again, and don't forget that last episode, living paycheck to paycheck, but here he is buying everybody's art, and so a real hero. Mikey de la Creme is a real hero. You know, is Haiti Rocket a real art hero? So, and here, check this out. Colonna Contemporary. So this is the page. So I'm finding this super interesting too on a kind of a cutting edge front of, you know, what does the new gallery look like today? So you're seeing a super interesting hybrid here. You know, physical works in an NFT, a physical gallery showing, you know, selling works online on object. To me, this feels like the future. Let's see what happens. So that is super cool. Clown Vamp. So we were, you know, watching, we had a early kind of maybe preview of sorts in a tweet of this show that Clown Vamp is doing. I think it's with Super Rare and maybe Super Chief in the World Trade Center, I believe. This is it, now open, Chester Charles, the Lost Grand Master, and it's kind of like it's got a real Manet feel to it there. Manet kind of love story, kind of impressionist style, an AI immersive story in my solo show virtually at On Cyber and in real life today at Oculus New York City at 6 p.m. 3 one-of-ones available for auction on Super Rare and 2 open editions now open, Tez and ETH. Multi-chain. It is totally the way to go. Read on for details and events. So very nice work here. I'd love to see it in person. I mean, this is, I guess, the building. What a beautiful building. I've never been in there. And here's another work, and this one feels like maybe Edgar Degas. It is not Degas, it is Degas, just so you know. So I've been told, according to the teaching companies, Impressionism, History of Impressionism. It's a great course if you can still find that. Also, Clown Vamp, physical shows equal physical artifacts. Don't ask me, I don't make the rules. So it's a pretty serious endeavor here that's going on. It looks like totally professional, as it clearly is. So just very cool. I mean, this could be any kind of institutional, pamphlet, so to speak. And so anyways, they're doing a really nice job there. Santiago. I don't know how to think, but I see things and artists thriving on Foundation. So different platforms, different multi-platform, multi-chain. And let's continue. I don't know how to think, but I see things and artists thriving on Foundation more than other ETH places. And I think there's something to that. I had chosen Manifold and some listing on Foundation and some known origin mints as MO, maybe modus operandi, but currently my market on ETH is 0. Well, I don't know if that's entirely true. Santiago is also on Super Rare and has sold a few works there. Maybe I make one of their contracts, who knows. So pretty interesting, just interesting to hear Santiago's experience there. Continuing on, and here's another platform. I think this is Solana, drips collectibles every week from your favorite creators. So some sort of thing, and they're working with Gogolitis. A new friendship is being born between blockchains. So here's Solana. Drip welcomes acclaimed artist Gogolitis from Tezos on Solana. And we return the favor below. Gogolitis is no ordinary artist. He is a wizard of unusual and hypnotic pixel scenes. So, of course, he sure is. Oh. So there is the great Gogolitis. Now going to be putting some work out on Solana. So the fun continues out here. And on that note, I've partnered up with a team, and so I'm going to be. The plan is I'm going to, as I told Runetoon at the beginning of the spaces, I'm going to release the Peloponnesian War on ordinals. So how that works is there are 200 works. I've sold 6. So I'm going to burn the rest of them on Ethereum and then put them on ordinals. And then those 6 will be reserved for collectors if they want to trade. Their earlier one. There's one on Tezos that Ratcloak has. There's about 5 or 6 sales I made on that series. And we're going to re-release it on Bitcoin is the plan. And it could be pretty quick. It could be in the next couple of weeks here. Let's see. There's a lot of things that need to be done, but there's a team that's interested in partnering up to do it. And that is what that series needed, was kind of people that know what they're doing in terms of just creating a series. And I love the idea of putting it on ordinals. And I asked what is the sell? Ordinals is controversial. Not everybody likes ordinals. And I was like, what is the sell? And it was a pretty convincing answer that I got was, well, they'd be immutable. They would be immutable. And I love that idea. And I do feel, as I've tried different blockchains for the Peloponnesian War series, it's again kind of 200 work series, right? I'll go into it at another time. Next time I'll show you it maybe. But I've tried different blockchains. Bitcoin feels like the right home for it, though. It's got a nice feel. So I'll be a test case here. I think they want more art on ordinals rather than just your classic sort of kind of PFP collections. I think they want to put more art. So watch this space. I'm on top of it. I'm on top of it, which is pretty fun. I've met some interesting people out here in Berlin randomly. So that is fun. So just some kind of community news flash here. Hasdrubal Waffle, pretty sure this is the account, put out a post, and the post no longer exists, saying that he was going to take a break from and maybe put out some neats on ETH in September, but basically is mysteriously disappearing into the ether, at least for a little bit, and said that there'd be a secret Santa account. So he's still going to release art, but you're not going to necessarily know it's him. So the fun continues. The legend is growing there with the great Hasdrubal Waffle. This I wanted to show you, because remember, we've been looking at this super interesting textures that we're seeing with Cider, Graphica.png, and Osborne, right? Really interesting textures. And so here, this has a little bit of that feel to it. Now, this is someone called Toddy.eth, GM, Eternal Q, so people in a queue, AI Collage, Moshed, I don't even know what moshing is, then Dithered. So very interesting. Toddy Everyday 111. I thought the texture on this is gorgeous. It reminded me of those textures, and it just, very nice use of dithering. And again, it just kind of reminded me of those other artists, so I thought I'd highlight it here. And RJ, with a conceptual experiment here, 1 hour until this experiment gets underway. From 8 to 12, the price will descend from 1 to 0.01 ETH. The final cost, as I understand it, will be an average of collection prices with rebates provided. If none go in that time, an addition of 5 will be priced at 0.01. How do I know what I'm worth? So a conceptual work by the great RJ, another fantastic artist. There are so many great artists in this scene, aren't there? And so doing a test here, this looks like a Lucian Freud reference here. Kind of looks like a Lucian Freud painting, and even colors here. So I brought it up, market value, and they ended up going for 0.01. They did all sell out though, all 5 of them. So that is cool. And there's Kiro, picked one up smartly. So everybody got a wonderful deal on a RJ. So how cool is that? That was a couple of days ago. So remember this work, right? We were looking at this kind of mystifying, interesting work, kind of felt like the Styx, kind of cosmic. Well, guess who ended up buying it? Cosimo de' Medici, Departure. The way Nifty Monkey paints the timeless tale of the great unknown made my jaw drop. I was not alone. 7.3 million views later, this work has transcended the digital art space. Thrilled to add this masterpiece to the collection. So wait till you see how much this went for. Look, and interestingly, Cosimo's a pretty well-known guy. 93,000 views, 94,000 views, whereas when Nifty Monkey put it out, it had 7.3 million. So it's quite interesting. Nifty Monkey getting more reach. And where Cosimo is using views as a kind of measure of value. And I am back to Popple. Whose work has popped a little bit. And I always kind of regret saying these things, but I'm just here to report what I see. I keep thinking of Popple, who, considering the amount of views, those works. So wait till you see what this went for. This went for $19,000, 11 ETH. So we saw it when it was at like 10,000. There was a big, bidding war. And this account looks raw, turned out to be Cosimo de' Medici in disguise. And yeah, so $19,000. Not bad. Not bad at all. Continuing on Spiegel's Maskinen with an interesting work here, because it's almost like these are billboards that kind of look like screens, interestingly, with that blue. Interesting lighting, too. And you see the dithering there, and it kind of almost disappearing, the dithering, and then coming back in. So just really interesting experimental piece here from Spiegel's Maskinen, Billboard River. Current bid 0.75 ETH with 2 minutes to go. And 0.75 ETH is maybe $1,300, $1,400. maybe more after that big kind of pump yesterday in the crypto prices. Here's Osborne. And kind of back to, the textures and everything. Unstill Life noodles at 412, at 1612. And a nice phone, noodles, everything. Kind of classic Osborne kind of, I almost want to call it dilation or, breathing in and out of the image. But look at this. This is what I want to highlight. So working in Photoshop, first of all, interestingly. And look at the dithering. So you see that there's actually quite a bit of pixel work in here, or dithering, and that these are actually, so that's interesting because when you look from a distance, you might not see that kind of up close and personal. So just kind of an interesting detail there. So interesting work by Osborne. You can see the message coming in there too, so very cool. Another interesting piece here, Num1 Crush, Stardust Go Round. I saw this on Twitter, and just kind of an interesting feel to it. I feel like I've seen their work before. Almost has a little bit of maybe, who's that Austrian artist whose name I'm forgetting, who did The Kiss? Just those colors feel like they're in here a little bit, and also other stuff too. So anyway, and beautiful work here from Num1 Crush, 0.25 ETH reserve. And Boo Boy sold for 71.715 ETH with a new work, Photo Automat. So Boo Boy continues to make pretty impressive sales here. Error 404, and you see some people in an automat and maybe almost like riot police, maybe the manager here. Kind of an interesting, mysterious work. More of it's kind of more towards what I'd tempted to call a narrative painting than kind of psychedelia, which maybe some of the earlier other work kind of had that feeling too. So here it is, Boo Boy's automatic photo booth, but it's not really just a photo booth. It's also a door in an art gallery that's been stolen. Today the secret has been revealed and someone will come and arrest us, but for sure we will escape as always. So very nice sale there and cool work by Boo Boy. Stefan Grosse Halbuer, kind of looks German. Interesting work here. I like the audio actually a lot. Very, very cool work here. So just kind of a almost manga type illustration here. They will, free airdrop of Healthy Life will be today at 6 p.m. Own a floppy disk to get a free one. So other works here too. Just kind of interesting Illustrator, kind of vaporwave colors. Just kind of cool. Here's Lord with a new work, I Never Wanted to Feel Anything. This was on Object, edition of 17. What is he selling for? 25 Tezos each. Another just really interesting work. Also some really nice textures, almost along the same lines as we were discussing there with Osborne and Graphica, and just that kind of, it almost has this matte texture kind of feeling, which is quite powerful. So cool work by Lord, also known as Lord Object. Can you tell what this is based on? I think I kind of imagined it. This is a brilliant interpretation by Dan Control of that very famous work. I think it's Hokusai, Katsushika Hokusai, The Great Wave off Kanaga, Reserve 0.1. I think this is like pretty brilliant. Right? And now for those that are wondering, almost the colors, you figure it out. It's this, right? So we all know this work, one of the most famous images in the history of art. This is the brilliant interpretation by, what I'm tempted to call a gradient artist, Dan Control, available for 0.1 ETH. So, now $190, let's call it. Very nice work here. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Ranixtier with a very cool still life here. Kind of a surrealistic still life, almost like a static, could hang really well with that artist. We're going to see that artist later in the program, but I think you can even tell who I'm talking about, who makes dynamic versions or moving versions of kind of with this, what looks like 3D software of sorts. But anyway, continuing on, beautiful work by Ranixtier, only an edition of 2, interestingly, selling for a Tezos 70. So, and then burnt the other 8 a couple of hours later. So that's wonderful for the buyers, isn't it? Here's a work by One Don't Knows, The Myth of Daedalus and Icarus. So this I saw on Instagram. I'm not sure where it's listed, or even if it's new, but I had never seen it before. So a beautiful work here by One Don't Knows of a very famous myth here of Icarus who flew too close to the sun. This is great. This makes me want to fly or go to Crete. I'm going to Rhodes, actually, is the plan, at least in August. Heads up. So I will be off maybe for 2 weeks in August, but maybe that's good for everyone. The Myth of Daedalus and Icarus. So just some beautiful kind of surrealist collage here by One Don't Knows. Interesting. It's kind of lo-fi there and then hi-fi and this, but you see all the brilliant detail by One Don't Knows here and just mixing everything together. So yeah, this is like trademark One Don't Knows. And you see even like these little details here. So continuing to move along nicely here and develop and all of these details here. A great collage artist. So beautiful work there. This is Mary Migraine. And this is already on secondary. I thought this was a very original portrait here. Interesting treatment, almost like Burr Sector here, like it's a video game. Mega migraine attack, and I think, so maybe this is a self-portrait of sorts, because I think Mary Migraine suffers from migraines, which are horrible, absolutely horrible. I haven't had many, but when you do, they're horrible. Radiant Midori. Yeah, migraine is a neurological disorder with symptoms being only one of the many symptoms. Yeah, they're brutal. So big shout out to Mary Migraine, and this is available on secondary for basically 14, sold out on primary for 5. So cool work there, original self-portrait. Here's someone we haven't looked at for a couple of months. 111 JKS, and just someone with very kind of elaborate, almost that Where's Waldo kind of structure, detail, you know, these massive kind of city scenes. Very cool with the subway up there. So anyway, very cool work here from 111 JKS, if I'm pronouncing that right. More illustration here. This is really interesting as well. This is Grigala, whose work I'm not sure we've shown yet here. I'm creating a 1,000, we have actually several months ago. I'm creating 1,825 artworks for the next 1,825 days. So that's like 5 years, I think. Yeah, 5 years. Art is what you feel, not what you see, interestingly. So cool work there. It'll be interesting to watch. Here's a very nice kind of topical work here by Louis Osborne. This is on Manifold. I think it's done. I think it was 0.05 ETH. Really, really cool work here. Beautifully done of basically a financial chart, but put in in a three-dimensional way. And the person, you can see the smile growing, and maybe the smile starts to go down. Yeah, so brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Oh, you can still get it. 57 minted for only 0.005. There's 1 day left, so very cool. And of course, Igor Kapustin, who I discovered in Louis Osborne's collection, Brussels. Really nice piece here. Very, very nice piece. So just here on some sort of observatory deck and the telescope there, maybe traveling in Brussels in the summer. Although this kind of looks like fall, like these are leaves though. I believe this is new, June 19th, 2023, available on secondary for only 9, which is actually a pretty good deal for Igor Kapustin. Killer Acid, Watching the World Go By. So let me see. There's some audio. Kind of a mind-blowing piece here from Killer Acid. Pretty amazing. I don't know if this has been minted anywhere. Oh, it's at Christie's. Amazing. For auction at Christie's this week to benefit MAPS Psychedelic Research. I actually emailed with those guys like 10 years, more than that, 15 years ago. Rick, it's not Rick Strassman, Rick Doblin. It's Rick. That's hilarious. I actually did a little bit of kind of work. I was doing summaries, actually, fascinatingly, of psychedelic research from the 60s. There was a need, and who was I talking? It wasn't Myron Stolaroff. Anyways, MAPS. So that's super cool. It worked to benefit MAPS. So go bid on Killer Acid's work at Christie's. Pretty amazing work there, too. It's a small world, isn't it? Fusion, the Ars Goetia. So this is Daniel W. With kind of a really interesting work here. You know what's interesting about this whole series, this Ars Goetia work? I feel like I haven't seen any of these mythological creatures, but they all feel vaguely familiar. I mean, this has a real Egyptian feel to it, doesn't it? And I'm starting to wonder if Daniel W. is remixing mythological iconography, like ancient, taking samples and starting, this looks completely Egyptian right here. But then maybe it's Anubis, I think it is, with the dog head, but maybe doing it in his style. So instead of the, jaw going like that, maybe he'll make it in more of a Daniel W. style. Very, very interesting work here. Available for 3 Tezos, edition of 35. And this is great. Lubitzel Blizny. Don't F my brain, come tomorrow. PP Cop and his partner destroy an illegal shipment of high quality POT. My version of legendary PP Cop by PP Universal. So anyway, a beautiful work here. And I'm starting to devolve back into the, continuing on. I've replaced So Anyway with So It Goes. Here is just a totally rad work. I love this almost reminds me of like RoboCop. But you know what makes it for me? I have to say it's this dithering here. And the fact that there's not a ton of dithering, it almost makes first it's just a beautiful dithered gradient. And there's something about that just is beautiful. And then you just put it within a different context here. That looks like Frank Zappa. Maybe that's Argentina. So very interesting work here. Wow, offers of 49 Tezos from Icaro. Look at that. So the offers are coming in strong. Ile, 44. So something is going on here with Lubitzel Blizny. Maybe we'll bring up their page really, really quickly here. Yeah, so I've seen this before. I remember the Bill Gates, we may have shown that. So very interesting. You're always learning about new talent out here. You can probably recognize who this is. Demon Ego with a new work. This is on Tezos, June 21st. This just came out. And another demon with a ton of dithering here, some nice gradients and everything. So cool work from Demon Ego. It made our stomach heavy with his tiny arms. Buy now for 10 Tezos. So probably 7 left on primary. So deals to be had out here. Stippen Pixel. Rural Flowers. So again, there's something that I've been wanting to mention that RJ mentioned, and we kind of touched on it, this idea of pixel art. He likes it a lot because it's, as he said, when you zoom in, it's all pixel art. And I thought this was profound because as we were discussing, it's almost like there's something elemental about pixel art as a kind of native digital art. There's something irreducible. So ever since that conversation from, I guess, last week when we had it with RJ on the space, I kind of see pixel art with a slightly larger importance, weirdly, perhaps. Like I already saw it, we celebrate pixel art here every show. But now I'm starting to wonder, in 100 years, will pixel art be one of those things and like, that wasn't obvious right now and some people did it, but that all of a sudden that kind of becomes a source of a new kind of tradition, a native digital art tradition based on that square pixel. Interesting questions. We're going to have RJ back on in 6 months, should he agree, because I felt like we were just scratching the surface there with RJ. Tom Bombattle with another beautiful, beautiful work. And sorry, let me just bring back Stippen Pixel here. So here it is, just very interesting. And look at the contrast between the dynamic background and the static house. So a classic move in contrast here, and beautiful. 8 Tezos edition of 25, 16 left. Partnership with Gift Gallery. Tom Battle, Next Stop Space Station. I love it. And this is fascinating too. Another pixel artist, and almost like this retro image of a train coming, but this retro future with this kind of space age 1950s structure here. And they're visiting maybe the space museum, let's call it, and again, using brilliant light. Like, I'm seeing a lot of very interesting experimentation from Tom Battle with light, and we're seeing it in the train light here. So very interesting use of color here again. I'm getting messages about apartments. I have to run through the rest of this episode. So 11 Tezos on secondary. Gogolitis with also partnering with Explainer Gallery, and also in this Trader series. So super cool work here from Gogolitis, using also the charts, as we were seeing, the bars in the charts, as we were seeing with Louis Osborne. So here's a pixel art version from Gogolitis, Fear and Greed. Another great pixel artist, D2Z creator, The Fishing Pond for a Getaway. So this is, again, it's bringing the video game screenshot, let's say, and then as a kind of narrative landscape is what I want to call it. So D2Z creator has put out several of these works. As you're going to see here, it's almost like a whole video game. And I don't think we've seen one for a while. Very fun, very collectible, and maybe that was actually an older one that just got repriced. I'm not sure about that, because actually this is the most recent one, and maybe that's... So anyway, here's someone to check out if you don't know D2Z creator. A very cool artist. More brilliant color and pixel art from Manidal, the Three of Cups. This one is, again, I just want to say it's delicious. This is grand. It's so much fun. And again, these beautiful gradients made with, it looks like kind of handmade. This isn't just taking the gradient tool and dragging it in Aseprite. This looks a little more manual, which is interesting too. And the Three of Cups, this beautiful, table, reminds me of the Cat's Supper, which was a brilliant work by Manidal. And also partnering up with Dither, Manidal has doing a GLB file, this brilliant work here with the old retro TV, and then it's put on a retro TV, signed at the back, and there's Manidal stickers and everything. Brilliant, brilliant work. Cats on Film, great title. Kota Nakazono, that is the person I was trying to remember earlier in the show in reference to Ranextier's work. Kind of, they could hang together. This is dynamic though, this moves. And this is on secondary for $16.20 from Acid Soup, sold out at maybe $12, or a sale at $14.99. What is going on? Not sure how these sold. Accepted offer at 12, 8 and 12. From Kota Nakazono, continuing this super interesting series, Continuum number 120. Very cool work. Interesting kind of spray explosion here. Pamela Cirone, my phone is blowing up here. Pamela Cirone, an edition of 1 for 66 Tezos. So I'm not sure if this is the primary or the secondary. That's the primary. So very cool. Created an auction at 25 Tezos. You could have bought it. Now listed at 67. So very cool. Françoise Gamma with a super cool new series using Nintendo Glitch ROM. And so here is, kind of more abstract, a different take on the Nintendo Glitch ROM. Here's another one. I love this one. So one layer is static, the other layer is moving up slowly. Brilliant. This is ROM 05. These sell for only 2 Tezos on the primary. This is a super interesting one as well. Again, this stuff has real kind of art museum feel vibes to it, which I'm totally digging. And look at this work that she posted from 2009. This is gorgeous. Like the feedback, it reminds me of delay in techno music or reverb. Like very, very cool. Looks like 2 figures. This is for 3 Tezos, edition of 15. And running through the show here, Luca Ponsato, The Only Thing Controlling Me, generated using ChatGPT and P5.js. So isn't that interesting? Using ChatGPT and P5.js to create an artwork. That is super interesting. So watch this space, as they say, and you probably recognize this person. This is Datura with another super cool animated, I'd call that abstract, semi-abstract work. It's kind of a world kind of blowing up and coming back together. Inversion 323, let's go back. And this is still on primary for 6 Tezos. And Renki, also with kind of a sphere here, a circular work, Noakawa edition of 10, and not listed yet. So cool work here. And a few works by Dan Control that I absolutely love. I haven't picked any up yet. Reviving the ASCII series, Hot Summer, these fireworks look great. And you know what I think first of all, a brilliant subject for this kind of treatment. And I also like how kind of big and chunky the light is here. Like there's some others, and look at how beautiful this is. And even like what's going on here with these, it's almost like glitched out or something with this line. So these are stunning works. Here's another one, congratulations, 2 Tezos. So really interesting work here from Dan Control, super collectible. 6 left, might need to run and pick those up. Future Couch from Tezos, so another furniture work here. And really nice textures in the seat cushion, and especially, and again, that super warm gray, the delay, everything. It's beautiful, as usual. And available 10 left on primary, Future Couch 6. And this is also happening, Tez Trash. And it's a fine Tez Trash to you. I hope you're ready. This is Trash Max Capacity. Trash the SEC, so it's a bit of a thing going on I think it's on Tezos. Here's my open edition for Tez Trash, and at 5 Tezos. And it looks like a truck collecting the trash here. So pretty hilarious, trashy work. And here's another one, pretty dark, gotta trash the SEC. I don't know what's going on there, but looks pretty dark. Trash day cometh. So gonna put out the trash. Dark work by Sabato in the drawing series, available for 5 Tezos, edition of 55. And 34 have sold. So nice work there. Phosphor Operator with Sky Goodman with the Lost Sneakers series. So a cool collaboration here. AI sneaker concept with glitch video background. Cool little framing device here too. Love the kind of 1980s patterning in the shoe there, in the grip. So nice work there. And more genius from Strange Thing. Look at this. Makes it look easy. Here, Street Fighter II arcade game done in Renaissance relief. So how cool is that? And even puts the video game in. It is, as they say, God is in the details. The details. Look at this. So you get this awesome contrast between, pixel-esque video game and, these Renaissance scenes here in, I don't know if that's high relief, but I think we could call that high relief. Here's a speaker. What is this? A treadmill and a pool table. I mean, this is pretty brilliant work here. Another speaker. Strange Thing has the eye, clearly here. So look at this old computer. Brilliant. You gotta love this contrast with the screens. Beautiful. And also, Parsa Mostagim, a new piece, acrylic and ink on canvas as we move into the physical work here. I thought this was really nicely done here, by the way. Almost like this kind of bitmapization or pixelation. I really like how we're not worrying about every pixel being exactly the same size, this kind of physical rendering. Kind of dark here, reminds me of Chien d'Analou, if I'm pronouncing that right, that Salvador Dali movie, where they're playing with the cut eyeball. And then here, a videographer and maybe the model there and everything. Really interesting work. Acrylic painting, acrylic and ink on canvas, 75 by 94, very cool. And here's another one, Mikey de la Creme, the hero. Art hero Mikey de la Creme posted this one to Rogerin, another discovery, Halloween rabbit hole. This looks physical, although these days you can't tell anymore. I mean, you gotta love the background. I mean, that almost looks like a page out of the Leonardo da Vinci notebooks, that textured paper. And then just, I love this, that's kind of what I was seeing in that screenshot on the Daily Mail there with Lauren Sanchez. Just, interesting juxtapositions, different scales, very beautiful, kind of, again, sketchbook kind of work. And that's your show, everyone. Thank you for joining me once again. And until next time, take care.